Hey, it's John here, and in this video, I'll be breaking down exactly how to set up your LinkedIn profile for your recruiting business if you have a 9 to 5 job and you want to run your recruiting business part-time on the side and under the radar. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jon Chintanaroad. I basically worked as a recruiter, got laid off, started my own recruiting business and grew that, sold it, and now I've had the privilege of helping over, I think, 400 people over the last 6 years start their own profitable recruiting businesses without quitting their day job to start. Now, in terms of reaching out to potential clients, your LinkedIn profile basically has to do two things. First is to attract potential clients. That's the main thing because candidates don't care about your profile. When you reach out to a candidate, all they care about is what job opportunity you have for them. So we're not trying to appeal to candidates at all. And number two is not get you in trouble with your boss. And ideally, not even let your boss know that you're even doing this. And just keep a clear separation between your 9 to 5 job and your recruiting business. And that way have the two worlds never collide in the perfect scenario. First thing that you want to do is decide if you want to use your LinkedIn profile or someone else's. And both work. Now, with each method, there's pros and cons, so let me break that down for a moment. If you use your LinkedIn profile, the benefit is you can highlight your experience. So for example, if you've been recruiting for a long time, 5, 10, 15 years, using your LinkedIn profile will quickly communicate to the hiring manager, like, wow, this person is not a newbie. Now, if you don't have recruiting experience, right, you're, let's say, a working professional, you can leverage your industry experience. So for example, one of our private clients is in supply chain. He's been doing that for 15 plus years. Hiring managers who are in that niche in supply chain looking for professionals in that industry are going to immediately see him as a subject matter expert because he's a practitioner of supply chain. So again, even if you don't have recruiting experience, if you have industry experience, that's amazing too. And of course, lastly, if you use your profile to reach out, they'll kind of get a sense of who you are, your background, and when you book a call with them, it'll be you on the call. So they'll feel like they already kind of know you just from messaging you on LinkedIn before you speak with them. The con is that if you use your LinkedIn profile, it can expose you to risk with your boss finding out because you're reaching out to potential clients from your profile. Now, a lot of people say, John, my employer, if they found out I had a side hustle, was running my own business, I would get into trouble, and John, I cannot risk losing my job, getting fired. So in that case, you probably want to lean on option 2, which is using someone else's profile. Now we call this setting up an avatar profile. And now an avatar profile is someone else's profile that you optimize to attract potential clients. You want to ideally mirror your experience in their profile and use their profile to basically be the spokesperson for your recruiting business. Use them to be the face and name of the business, like a account manager or sales rep, and they're reaching out to potential clients and then ultimately having a conversation and then booking a call for you on your calendar. Ideally, it needs to be someone that you know because here's the deal. People ask, well, can I create a fake LinkedIn profile or create a duplicate or second profile, use my maiden name, use a different name, use my nickname? No, do not do that. I've tried that. I've tried to create a second LinkedIn profile many years ago. I think I said Jonathan Chin. I was trying to make up a pseudonym for my name, and LinkedIn quickly messaged me saying, hey, we found out that you created a second profile. That's against our terms and policies. We shut down that new profile. Do not do it again, or else. And I'm like, sorry, LinkedIn, it'll never happen again. Risking your LinkedIn profile is there will be a career death sentence, right? You use LinkedIn day in, day out. It's part of your workflow, so you cannot lose your profile. How do you set up an avatar profile if you can't create a second one or create a fake profile? Well, it has to be a real person. Spouse, a family member, a friend, cousin, just someone who they know and trust who either doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, but ideally has one, and they created it many, many years ago so that it's what we call an age profile. So in that situation, if you're close to them, you can just ask them, hey, can I use your LinkedIn profile for my business, kind of optimize it and brand it and that sort of thing, and then use it to reach out to clients. And again, if they don't use LinkedIn, they probably won't care. A profile that is just created brand new, you have to warm up really slowly. LinkedIn is highly suspicious of new profiles because they want to protect the user experience of their platform. Now, the pro of using the avatar profile is you can be very direct with your branding. Clearly brand the profile, say whatever you like. And when you reach out to potential clients, you can be very direct as well, saying, here's why you're reaching out to them. You can talk about your recruiting business. Whereas if you use your profile, you have to be somewhat more indirect with the messaging. And I'll talk about messaging some more later in this video. Now, in terms of how to avoid confusing clients when you reach out, here are a few ways to go about doing it, right? So one is you can list your LinkedIn company on your experience section of your profile. You can just tuck it underneath your current job or maybe like one below. And that way your employer won't really see. They probably won't notice if one or two jobs below there on your experience section, you list the recruiting business. You can give yourself a vague, harmless title like advisor or consultant or co-founder, and your boss you can tell your boss, oh, this is my spouse's business. I just help them with that from time to time a little bit on the weekends and evenings. If you tuck it in, it's going to be really discreet. They probably won't even notice. But if you are worried about that, then again, there's that avatar profile option. If you don't want to list your LinkedIn business on your profile, no problem. There are a few things you can do. If you work at a recruiting agency, you can probably just leave everything as is. Just be okay with the hiring manager assuming that you're reaching out on behalf of your agency, right? As long as your recruiting agency is in the niche or related to the niche of the hiring manager. So if you work at a marketing recruiting agency, but you're reaching out to a hiring manager for software engineers, that might get confusing to them. But generally speaking, they won't really care. They'll assume that you're reaching out on behalf of your recruiting agency, but when you speak with them, you can then transition, let them know at some point later in the conversation that you do a bit of recruiting consulting on the side and you have your own recruiting business when you come across amazing candidates like this one that you're talking about. And then you can kind of segue. And really, like in my experience, hiring managers don't really care. Hiring managers care about one thing and one thing only. Do you have a candidate for them? If you show up to the call with that hiring manager with one or two resumes or profiles of candidates that you think would be a good fit and they're interested, they'll just say, hey, when can I interview your candidate? They look great. And then oftentimes, and this is from my experience, when they send you their agreement or you send them your agreement, they'll just sign off. They won't really look at, oh, what exactly is the name of the company this person represents? They don't care. They're busy. They're running around putting out fires. They just want to interview your candidate. They won't really care. So oftentimes, you don't have to mention that you have a separate business. You can let them assume that you're reaching out on behalf of your agency. Now, what if you're a corporate recruiter? If you're a corporate recruiter, then you can also probably leave it as is, but in the messaging, let the hiring manager know that you can basically say, hi, hiring manager, we haven't spoken before, but I came across a strong candidate who could be a good fit for your team, but you don't have anything for them at your company. Now that line is important, and you can use it whether you're a corporate recruiter or a agency recruiter. But when you say the message, that kind of covers yourself, because then again, if that message got back to your boss, what does it look like you're doing? It looks like you're trying to preserve the candidate experience. Here's what companies are worried about. If they interview a whole bunch of people and they reject, companies are picky, they'll reject 95% of them. The last thing they want is that 95% of their interviewees to go out, have a bad experience, feel upset, and then badmouth that company to their friends and coworkers. So when you say to a potential client, I have a great candidate, I'd love to hire them myself, but we don't have anything on our team, on our company for them because they're overqualified or for whatever reason. If your boss finds out that you sent that message, again, they should be like, good job on trying to help out a fellow candidate land on their feet, right? So that's about that. Now, here's the deal. You might be wondering, well, John, at some point I need to let them know that this is like a business I'm running and it's a fee. Now, the way you do that, pretty simple, is when you're on a call with the hiring manager, you just at some point naturally segue into letting them know that, hey, because this candidate is looking confidentially, right? They're confidentially searching for new opportunities. They basically asked me to represent them in their search. When you talk about I'm representing a candidate, the hiring manager knows, oh, there's a fee attached to this, and that's okay. So that's when you would segue. Do you work with recruiting agencies? Oh, what's your standard fee? 20%? Perfect. That's what we charge too. Industry standard. Again, at that point, they're not really going to care about the fine print. If they really want to interview your candidate, they're going to be like, when can I get them on the calendar? We'll pay your fee, 20% standard. Now, regarding using your LinkedIn company page to reach out to hiring managers, people ask, well, can I just create a company page and just use a company to reach out to clients and not like myself or even another person? It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. LinkedIn is kind of like Facebook, where when you reach out and send a Facebook message, you send it as you, not your business, right? Only a person can reach out to another person. On LinkedIn, same thing. Now, last thing I want to share, right? Last thing is how to optimize your LinkedIn profile if you have a day job. We want to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is to make sure that your profile attracts clients, attracts hiring managers without getting you in trouble. You want to emphasize your niche, your background, and your experience. So niche, background, experience, emphasize why should the hiring manager talk to you and potentially hire you, and de-emphasize the company you work for and the company's branding. So for example, if your headline reads tech recruiter at Google, that tech recruiter is fine to the potential client, but at Google doesn't help you get that client. So instead, you want to replace tech recruiter at Google with something like AI machine learning recruiting professional. What that does is, one, it's still relevant to your day job. So your company, your boss shouldn't say, hey, why did you change your headline? Because it's still relevant. But that's a lot more attractive as a headline to potential clients, right? Also, your banner, if your banner is branded with your company, the company's logo and all that stuff, replace that banner with a more neutral one. Like, you know, if I'm in San Francisco, so you can have a Golden Gate Bridge, a landscape, still looks nice, still look professional, but you're not trying to promote your current employer. You should then reword the about section to highlight, again, your niche. If you're a recruiter, talk about the placements that you make. Let the hiring manager know that you have a proven track record for recruiting for roles in this niche. And if you're not a recruiter, not a problem. You can still highlight your relevant industry experience, which should then communicate to the hiring manager, I get it, I get your world. Either I've recruited for positions that I know you need, or I've worked in this industry as a practitioner. So that makes me, in my opinion, well qualified and well positioned to help you find people like me or people in my industry. All right, we went over a lot, and I hope at this point you have a much better idea of how to set up your LinkedIn profile and reach out to potential clients. But obviously, this is just one step in the process of running your own profitable recruiting business. There's a few steps after this that you'll want to make sure that you really nail and you have dialed in and implemented. Not just a LinkedIn profile, the messaging, scaling the messages with automation, and then finally how to run a good client call so that way they're excited to want to work with you. So if you have questions about those subsequent steps after this, then I recommend watching my 4-step process video on my website. The link's below. Just follow the link and opt in to watch the video, because there I break down in detail exactly all the steps you need, how to implement them, so that way you can begin building your recruiting business, reaching out to clients, and really starting to move toward this probably ideal goal you have of having more money, more time, more freedom, more control with a business you can run part-time on the side to start. And of course, then one day, once your recruiting business starts to take off and you start earning as much from your recruiting business as your day job or more, that's when you'll have ultimately the option to go full-time with your recruiting business and then escape the corporate world if that's what you want to do. Thank you so much for your time. I know we covered a lot, and hopefully you don't have brain drain. I just wanted to make sure that I just packed this video with as much actionable information so that way you can start moving the needle forward, take action. That's the main thing. All right, my name's John. Thanks for your time and attention, and appreciate everything. All right, see you in the next video. Bye now.